So my name's David Soffer. I've been in biomed since the late 90s. I'd like to say I'm, halfway through my biomed career. A couple things I just want to talk about. This, hopefully, if you're not using an integration team inside your biomed department, your HTM department, or your IT group, hopefully this will give you a little bit of insight on how to build that and maybe what you can actually do to help offset some of this high technology with staff inside biomed. And I do realize that right now with healthcare economics, this is the worst time for anybody to be asking for FTEs in a department. But I just hope that this gives you some ideas and it allows you to maybe justify one person and then maybe keep growing and growing and you have more. So this is WellSpan Health. We're in Pennsylvania. Philadelphia would be right about here. Pittsburgh would be like way over here. So Baltimore, Inner Harbor, Chesapeake Bay would be all around here. So we're about an hour north of Baltimore. We're approximately an hour and a half west of Philadelphia. So these are the statistics, 8 hospitals, all that. I'm not going to get into the semantics of it. You can read that. But we are I would say, a medium-sized health system in our area. The larger health systems like University of Maryland, Johns Hopkins, we don't compete with them. We partner with them for a few things. They're much larger. We are a medium size. We have UPMC, which is University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. They're huge. They have most of the state from the west side to the east side. And then we have all of our Philadelphia hospitals, obviously in the Philadelphia area and the suburbs. So we're going to talk about IT, medical device connectivity, and why is it important. So that's beautiful, network closet with your patch panels, and realistically it looks like this. So if you have ever walked into a network closet and you go, holy cow, how do they do that? It's a little crazy. So with current technology, this is what records used to look like in the past. It was charts. And my grandmother worked as she worked in medical records, and she transported the carts of charts to the ICUs and back. So this is what she had. Obviously, this is what we have now. This is an Epic screen. So we are an Epic house. This is just an image I took out of Epic without any PHI on there. And I wanted to show you, it's kind of like a calculator. So I have this calculator on my workbench at home. I also have this on my phone, which does way more than just a calculator. It's the technology. We obviously have a phone device that's way more than just a calculator now, but that's kind of where technology is headed. We still call ourselves biomed, even though we're HTM. So you'll see in my slides, it says biomed instead of HTM. But the challenge that we have is we have a difficult time with our biomeds, even some of the younger ones that are very computer savvy, wanting to deal with networking. They just look at it and go, why do we have to deal with networking? Well, because everything's networked, okay? Machines are networked. Every device, you get a pulmonary function analyzer now. It's a PC unit with a USB interface to the actual analyzer. That PC client needs to be on your network to get the data results, even if you're just printing. It's just that simple. So years ago, WellSpan Health created this position called MEIS, Medical Equipment IS Specialist. We do various things. So our main role is making the medical devices talk on the network and getting data into the EMR. So that is our primary role. We also handle unique integration to our ASCOM phones and nurse call. So if you're not using ASCOM product, you're probably using something else similar to a handheld device that's getting messages from nurse call or getting alerts from patient monitoring. There's special integration needs that we handle with our RTLS system for device tracking and the integration with some temperature monitoring as well. So those are some unique things that we've grown into. We didn't do that when we started 10, 15 years ago. That that has just evolved in the last few years. We have gone through a pretty large temperature monitoring upgrade for all of our freezers and a lot of the, the medication refrigerators. So we have started to build that into our scope as we've grown our team. We work with our cybersecurity group, focusing on medical device cybersecurity. So we use ECRI for reporting. So any ECRI alerts that come out, we have a process, and we work with our network security team to make sure that we are, proactive if those devices fall under our scope, if we own them or the software version. And then lastly, we also provide advanced troubleshooting to assist HTM technicians. So any of the biomeds, like we like to say, we're tier 2 support. Don't call us, and we do get this all the time. Don't call us if one device is not on the network. Go look at it. Call us if multiple devices are not on the network, or if there's a zone of like an area that's having a problem, or you have mass infusion pumps that aren't connected to the server. So we like to say that we're tier 2 troubleshooting. We also do the same for the nurse call and the integration with the ASCOM phones. Don't call us and tell us the ASCOM phone isn't getting a call. Go look at it, figure out if it's programmed correctly for that location, then call us and let us know. So, and we do cover all of the 8 hospitals in the region. So we are phone support, we're tech support, product support. We also do a lot of travel. So if there's installs, we'll go. And what we like to say is, if we use well-challenged vital signs monitors. If a site gets 6 well-challenged vital sign monitors, 6, yeah, it's like you're gonna have to figure out how to do that. Unpack it, set it up, get the stand, roll stand, do that. 6 isn't a doable number for a biomed shop. You figure out how, split a few guys, get it in, get it done. If you get 75, then my team comes on site and we provide labor support. So we help to offset a lot of the labor for larger projects. Anything under 10, we're not dealing with. Anything over 10, we probably will either send one person over, or if it's 75, one of our institutions, they just purchased 75 well-challenged. Well, we went and for 2 days, we helped unbox and set up well-challenged. It doesn't make a lot of sense from a financial perspective, because you would think, why are you sending IT guys to go unbox stuff? But we do it because we're helping to support the biomed group. They have their day-to-day stuff. They have PMs, repairs, service calls. So we do lend a lot of off-site labor support. And I'll show a little bit in the graph there. This is our grouping. I kept it very basic, but we have a VP and Chief Technology Officer is the same person, and we have a biomed director. Then over here is your traditional biomed staff, or HTM. We have imaging, we have biomed managers, and then over here, this is me. So I'm the manager now, which I have been for a little while, and then there's 4 other people on my team. So we have one gentleman who came from outside healthcare. He was a network guy. He got fed up at his job. He was, dealt with serial communication, network communication, desktop PC world, and he came in-house. Obviously, he has a lot of certifications here. We have this gentleman here. He was in the Navy. He came in. He actually got his bachelor's degree as he was working kind of on temperature monitoring and a few other things, and then he became part of our team. He has a Cisco CCNT. We have another gentleman here who also came from outside healthcare. He didn't know anything about biomed. He didn't know anything about medical devices, but he was very strong with connectivity. He was very strong with documentation, and he was very strong with anything application-based. So he's helping with temperature monitoring. He's helping with the RTLS stuff. He's helping with the integration. He doesn't know a ventilator from an anesthesia machine. And I said, that I can teach you. These other things about managing time, being a good communicator, having the skill set to troubleshoot, that takes years to build. So I can show somebody how to turn on an anesthesia machine and get basic ventilation data with the test lung in about an hour. But I can't teach what they've picked up over the years. And then this last position is a biomed associate. So this is new. We have a woman who decided she wanted to transfer careers. She's about 27. She was working in billing and said, this is not going to go anywhere for me. So she started to pursue network technology, and we needed somebody to help with our RTLS system on a physical level and replacing some batteries and helping with the location system. So she is learning technology and going to school at the same time, and that falls under me to help her, and she also obviously works with everybody else. And we have our own little office. We have a test lab with patient monitors. We have an anesthesia machine, but that's kept actually in a simulation lab, so we can use it anytime. But we have a small little lab at an offsite tech building that we own, and we have we use capsule technology. We have capsule devices there. We have patient monitors running. We have cardiac output monitors running. We have an infusion pump there if we need to simulate infusion pump data. We have vital signs machine there for blood pressures and vital signs. But this, even though we all fall under biomed and the biomed director, we don't do break fix for day-to-day stuff. We're tier 2 support. Yes, we're always available for a phone call. This team is not on call, but everybody answers their phone. They're asked to answer their phone if they get a call. We don't do PMs, so we're not doing traditional PMs like biomed. And we use the IT service platform. We don't use the biomed CMMS. Yes, we do to look up assets and occasional work orders, but most of our tickets, as they say in the IT world, are handled on the IT ticketing system. That does make it a challenge because biomed doesn't use the IT ticketing system. The IT guys don't use the biomed ticketing system. So I think in the next 12 months, we're merging into one larger system for ticketing. So everybody will be doing it. And the CMDB that the IT team uses will be moved over to there, and the biomed database for CMMS will be moved over there. So we're hopefully going to get to a better world here. So yes. Okay, so let me, yep. Yes. So let me repeat the question. So basically the gentleman's asking, the biomed associate position, are they used for like first level support for physical things or help or whatever? And project. So yes and no. I get very frustrated. I'd like to turn this off and stop the recording, but I get very frustrated because in our biomed program, we have entry-level technicians, we have tech 2, tech 3, that type of thing, lead techs. And I get very frustrated because this team here will not complain, and we will go unbox 75 vital signs monitors, set them up, program them, take the cardboard, flatten it, take it out to your compactor, and be done. Biomed will tell me all day long as they're kind of in and out how busy they are, how they don't have time to do this, connectivity is always broken. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So we share that responsibility among the team. It's not always the biomed associate. I might send this gentleman here, and he might be working on he's got his projects for replacing a gateway system, and he's on a vendor call. And when he's done that, he's back to flattening boxes and taking them out to the dumpster. So it's no different than traditional biomed, where you got to balance your time. You've got this much work and this much time, so you kind of spread it out. But I get frustrated because it's like you're paying, not to brag, the higher paid people in the department to do the manual labor, because the biomed one's telling me how busy he is while he's drinking coffee and watching us flatten boxes. So we juggle that. It's not always the biomed associate. Honestly, now, before it was just 2 of us, it's just in the last year we've grown to have this size of a team. So it was usually myself and the coworker going out to flatten boxes and unpack WellSpan monitors. So yes. Yep, exactly. I'm going to show this labor hour graph as we go through here. So the green would be my team. This kind of copper or brown color is biomed. Again, we traditionally call ourselves biomed, not HTM. So a couple years ago, we switched from Cerner to Epic EMR. So this documents a little bit of what we did through there, just to show you how we offset biomed's time. And then at the end, it shows you what we do to continue to support biomed and what else we do to basically help biomed with the day-to-day operations. I would like to say, so we're a Space Labs house right now, so we have Space Labs everywhere. I know that's not the most popular monitoring out there in the world. They've been around for a long time, but our connectivity with Space Labs, and we use Capsule as the middleware. So if you have a ventilator and you need to get that to the EMR, that's a serial connection to get it on Ethernet. Our Capsule and Space Labs uptime is over 99%. If you look at a calendar year, our uptime is tremendous. And people go, well, how can you say it's 99%? It's like, well, I could tell you because we could go back and show you every ticket we've had, which is very minimal on having Space Labs and Capsule uptime. When we were with Cerner, it was a totally different story. So our transition to Epic's been really successful, but I'll roll through here. So this is the overall biomed and connectivity scope for going from one EMR to another, or from no EMR to an EMR, the same would apply. So basically identify your project scope, clarify leadership's expectations for medical device integration. Leadership gives you the team and what their vision is. Provide feedback to leadership to say, yes, this can be done, or no, it can't be done. And if you haven't heard of this before, my old facilities director would say, watch out for scope creep. The idea is we want to do this, and next thing you know, that scope has changed, and you're doing a ton of stuff. So identify your team. So we have General Biomed, or HTM. Here we have MES, so that would be my team. Obviously, we have project managers where I work. We have facilities project managers for doing renovations and construction projects, and then we also have IT project managers. We're wiping out all the old 2016 servers, and we're upgrading them to 2020 servers or whatever. We have an IT project manager. So we definitely have different project managers. We have integration and clinical analysts. So we do a lot of our applications in-house. So we host Epic in-house. We have applications teams, we have integration teams, we have server teams, we have our security teams. So we do a lot of that in-house. This is using your CMMS for inventory. So when you're looking at medical device integration, same thing with cybersecurity, know what you have, know what the software levels are. Obviously, these are some screenshots from some devices that we have. So go around and collect this. This is a little daunting because if you don't already have it in your CMMS, it's kind of an all hands on deck. So this is where you see you have a little bit more of a biomed presence here. And it's okay because honestly, biomed should be involved. We're not trying to take biomed out of the equation. What we're trying to do is free up some biomed time on a large project to allow biomed to continue their day-to-day work. But the same is kind of inverse, because when we start connecting medical devices, you want your biomed team to know what they're doing. You don't want to just be the guys that come in and swoop, get everything connected and disappear, and then biomed's going, what are all these cables and what is this thing on the wall? So you have to kind of balance that out. Middleware, so we use Capsule Technologies for vents, anesthesia, and other things, and then we use OBIX, which is our fetal monitoring software that captures the fetal monitor data and sends that over to Epic. And they have a product called Amoxa that's just another piece of switchgear, and we actually handle that. Our IT team does not handle that. And then gateway servers for medical devices. So all of our pumps are integrated, so we do auto programming and infusion management. And then vital signs, so we have servers for those. Again, our applications team handles the application side of that. We handle the integration and connectivity side. And then identify systems or devices that require changes to architecture. Changes, or you're going to add things, such as your ICU. You're going to outfit your ICU with Capsule devices or Cerner's, connectivity engines, whatever you're using. Another thing that we focus on is network infrastructure. So we are very lucky. WellSpan Health is a very popular group with the IT teams. What does that mean? We have a lot of funding, we have a lot of push to have new technology, whether it's replacing all of our Cisco network gear. We do a lot of desktop deployments to keep desktops up to date, and it's not just a software, it's actually physical hardware box swap. If we need special applications teams, we have a big push for it. So we end up with a strong financial backing to make sure our IT technology is being kept up to date. We have acquired hospitals that haven't, and it's like going back in time. You go into a network closet that's an old bathroom, or it's an old, broom closet, and that stuff. It's just, we just walk in and just start over. There's no patching and band-aiding. It's just you go in and you start fresh. So for us, we have to look at network infrastructure. We do this whether it's a small project or a large project. And just here's an example. This isn't anything that you haven't seen before, but basically you're walking around like this is an OR. So where column E here is, where is the location? Oh, it's on a boom. What is it talking to? So here's a Flow Eye, a Perseus, Apollo. So those are the anesthesia machines. So then we have a capsule cable number here. We have an anesthesia PC cable number, and then for the patient monitor, we have a cable number, and it goes on and on and on. So I don't know how many people get involved with network closets and cabling, network cables, but just to let you know, the way that WellSpan and their IT team, the network team, which are basically old phone guys, have done it is the first 3 digits of a cable number. So like here, this is 469, and then the last 3 digits are 276. 469 is the closet number. 276 is the individual wire number. And it's standard throughout every one of our hospitals, imaging centers, doctors' offices, everything. So when they have to do like a new rack in NCC 469, well, okay, everybody knows NCC 469. We have a little grid and a map, and it tells you where it is. So, yeah. Oh.
I was going to ask you with your cybersecurity networking, I know at our facility, the IT is very structured, their IT closet. They have standards that have to be, and they also have security. So from the biomed side, we struggle because we have to have vendors. So they're pushing us out of the IT closet, which is fine. Now we have auxiliary closet. So if y'all have any standards that you may use for, for biomed, we call it auxiliary IT closet.
Yep. Okay. So the question is, just to repeat it for the recording, is just summarize. IT is pushing biomed out of the IT closets, and they're giving you auxiliary closets. So we're the exact opposite. We have our IT gear in with IT closets. So we have a whole team that's called Facilities IT. All they do is they provide power and rack space for any IT gear. So when I talked about the Obix Moxas, that is a serial to Ethernet converter. It's a 1 rack unit rack box that goes in. We put the ticket in IT facilities and say, I need 3 rack spaces for 3 of these Moxa boxes. They give us the space. They say, are they single power, dual power? Is it 208? Is it 120? We give them the specs. We get it installed. They let us play in that closet. And then we play by their rules. So if we need extra cable connections, or if we need jumpers, like we follow their rules. And I'll show you later a little bit, we do some color coding. But we do the exact opposite, even though we are very segmented and very structured. So our IT group is a network team, a security team, an applications team, an integration team, my team. It's crazy. It's a bunch of silos. I hate it, but we all do work well together for the most part. But no, we would never do that, because even like our GE switchgear, because we have a NICU that's GE, and GE is a pain because they used to allow you to use your own switches. Now they want to use their switches. Then they want you to use their switches and monitor it. And we're like, we can't do that. It doesn't work that way. But all that stuff is in the same closet next to a nurse call server, next to their switches for desktop PCs. So we all play in the same closets. Yep. Did you have another question? Yeah, it just started. So the question is, do the IT closets have a unique like code system or something? No, they just literally started numbering them, and they just keep going. So and it's very hard to remember because like we have NCC 56, which is by our one NICU in a building, and we have NCC 54, which is by the ED. I can remember those, but what that does is that provides structure, because whoever on the network team gets the ticket to say, I need this wire 469276 connected to a switch for, and then we specify what it's for. Is it space labs? What VLAN is going on? Is it capsule? You know, they then know, okay, this goes to this VLAN and we need a static or DHCP or reserve. So that provides the structure. But the numbers are just random. You know, as we add institutions or, you know, a new medical center, they come up with those closet numbers. I honestly, I don't know how that started, but it was way before me. So and again, this is mostly my team. We're walking around. We're doing a physical inventory. We'll walk into the room, say, okay, it's an ICU. We have a head wall. We're going to put this here. What kind of mount do we need? You know, does it have emergency power, e-plugs, you know, this type of thing, and we just kind of accumulate it as we go. So this is talking about hardware. So we are using a capsule box. This is a capsule Neuron 2. We're now up to a Neuron 3, but we came from a Cerner box. So this was a Cerner connectivity engine. This is our typical anesthesia machine install. So this happens to be, that's a Fabius GS. So we put our patient monitor on the left, which we standardize. Okay, I try to push for standardization as much as possible. If it's a Draeger unit, you can, you know, whatever you want to do. Patient monitor goes on the left, workstation goes on the right. So this is, we use an ELO 24-inch touchscreen, GCX mount, keyboard. PC client is sandwiched right over here on the side. As you can see, our capsule box is right here on the back of the anesthesia machine. I spun it around for the photo. We do that everywhere. We use the same GCX hardware as much as possible. We do have a few Mackay Flow Eyes, which are a little big and bulky, and the anesthesiologist wanted the patient monitor flipped around just because of the way that the pneumatic assembly was there. But we are 99% Draeger, so it's pretty standard. Even if it's a Perseus versus a, you know, a Tiro, it's all pretty much set up the same. We did these installs. We don't do the computer side of it, but we do everything else. We basically, what I like to say, we stub out the anesthesia machine. We take the anesthesia machine, we add our capsule device to it, we add the bracket for the capsule device, we add the bracket for the Space Labs monitor if it doesn't already have one, we put the workstation arm on there. It's a project, but again, we do that to offset biomed's time. Yes, question? No, no. Question was, do we have any Draeger Perseus boom mounted? We do not. I wish we could, because I can't tell you how many times we find anesthesia machines moved across the room, and we don't have standards. Unfortunately, some of our ORs, you know, gases and data and electric come out of the ceiling. Some of them, they still come out of the wall. Some of them have booms for you know, pneumatics and electric and data. So, yep. And again, we might need some biomed support on this, but we did most of the work ourselves for the anesthesia machine mounting. Same thing in the ICUs. We're not bothering biomed to go in to mount capsule devices. We can sneak in and out of there. So develop standardizations beyond your software and your CMS. We did color coding and standard terminology. So this is some stickers that we came up with, and I'll show you a larger picture in a second. This is, if you're familiar with the Nellcore DS100A, the orange tag that says "Do not throw away." That's where I got this cable tag from. Our color coding is anything MDI, medical device integration, is green. Anything that we have, green patch cables, green labels, we did that all to color code so that way we would have it. I'll let you take a picture now. I'm going to flip the screen here. Here, I'll show you. So those are our labels. So we have this, and this is just literally taped to a piece of paper to blow it up and zoom it in. But you know, you flip this over, put it around your cable, and then these are small enough here to fit around or above your network jack or your network plate. If you're using a Panduit jack or you know somebody else's type of jack, it's just large enough. So we started out with just MDI, but we realized pretty quickly, like when we started doing, you know, more patient monitors. So you walk into like an ICU room, you're gonna have a patient monitor and a capsule device. It's like MDI. Every once in a while, we're getting a call. We got 2 green cables and 2 MDI stickers. Like, all right, we need to update this. So we have MDI endo, fetal monitor, patient monitor, and then, you know, for just a generic capsule or your interface box, we still have the standard MDI. We use a green patch cable for everything. So, yes. Yeah. Right. So the question, yeah, so the question was keen or having a physical way to separate that. I don't, only because the standard Ethernet cable that we use is just a standard Ethernet cable. I mean, the best that we could do is labeling. I know here, if you look at this picture here in the middle, this drives me crazy. This is a fetal monitor cart. So I know. So this fetal monitor cart has 2 yellow network cables, one for the PC and one for the label printer. And the nurses have no clue which one plugs into which port. But at least our green one's labeled, so I'm not getting a phone call. You know, that at least works. But we do occasionally get the call where it's like you know, this gentleman said, they plug the network cable. Just because it physically fits in a network jack doesn't mean it's the right jack. You know, it's like, hey, I plugged this in, and it's like, you plugged it into the service port on the back of the, you know, the V500 ventilator. It's like, yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, that's not where it goes. Unfortunately, I looked into Ethernet port locks, USB port locks to, you know, plug ports on PC clients and medical devices. They're just not cost effective. You know, I tried to buy 1,000 of them and it was astronomical. It's just a little piece of plastic that, you know, we use a little tool to stick in and then quarter turn and pull the tool out. It just isn't economical. So unfortunately, we just didn't pursue it, but it would have saved us a lot of service calls because of, you know, people plugging the wrong cable into the wrong thing. So the capsule box here, unfortunately, it's great. It uses an Ethernet cable. Even though it's serial data, you're going from what the capsule calls the DIMM, which is attached to the machine, to the front of the box. It's a green Ethernet cable. They use shielded because you know, it's running RS-232 across it, but it looks like a standard Ethernet port. So every once in a while, we do find a ventilator plugged into the wall instead of into the capsule. It's like, I can't fix that. No. So if we're doing some wired, we have a wired VLAN for medical devices. We have several wireless VLANs for different locations. Each hospital has its own medical device wireless VLAN for medical devices. But 90% of them do, but every once in a while there's that like weird vendor box, you know, for an EEG machine. Our EEG machines, anybody use Natus if you're biomed? Anybody from Natus here? Okay. Those EEG machines are such a headache because they need to be on the network. We tell them strip everything off. We put them on a segment that's even more unique. But basically, we have a vendor segment that's like, those things don't play well with CrowdStrike or Falcon or any of that. Like, so we just like, there's a VLAN that's totally locked down. So most of it's on a medical device VLAN, but every once in a while we get something that's really weird and we're just like, put it over here because it's really locked down. So Mhm. Right. Yes. Yep. Yep. Yes, correct. So to summarize, basically, we have set up times where they want to endo cart on this side of the wall or this side of the wall, depending on who it is. And we have set it up that, yeah, we have ports over there, and we work with the network team to set up the switch ports so that way they can share the IP range inside the switch ports. Yes. Yep. So medical device integration testing, we're not getting too pushed for time, but I just want to keep going. So what we do is we do device type testing for each model. So here we have 3 different ventilators. So we test each ventilator to make sure we map all the parameters. And then before deployment, we actually test each ventilator. And we do that because when they're deployed then, we know that we've tested each device, not just the model type, but each device. It's a little daunting, but you can do it. We do the same thing with patient monitors. So we'll walk into an ICU room and we'll go around. If there's a patient in there, it's easy because you can easily just get the data off the server because you're running a production server, you're running a test server, they're both getting the same feeds. So you can easily test the monitor. Sometimes you have to throw a simulator on it. But people ask, why do you test each monitor? Why do you test each vent? Because when you turn the switch on and go live, every one of them should work perfect. And we've had great success with that. So we're doing that instead of running around troubleshooting after the fact, we're doing all that labor ahead of time and we're testing each device ahead of time. So the question is, how many parameters do we get off events? I think like we're the Draeger V500s and the Avitas that we use, we're probably mapping 12 to 15 values, tidal volumes, modes, but the new vents, we have a lot of the Hamilton vents, and I mean, starting to feel my age here. They have fancy modes where you actually like pause the breath, then you force a breath, and it does like a mapping to see lung capacity and all that. So it's a calculated value. It's not a static value. I honestly don't know how to even do it. We have to get a respiratory therapist to kind of come with us and say, hey, can you make it do this so that way we can get that value to test? Because I don't, even with the test lung, I'm over there like doing. I just don't know the timing and the software of it. So anesthesia machines, we probably have 10, 12 values off anesthesia machines. Patient monitors, we have a ton of values just based on what we're doing. And then dialysis is a big win. So we use Prismax and Prismaflex from Baxter. And those, they're doing calculations, they're doing volumes, they're doing weights, all of that comes over to the EMR. So those are big wins for nurses because they used to have to look at the screen, go put them into the software would do their calculations for them. It's all automatic now. Yes. 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 Yep. Yep. Correct. So here we go from, preparation to go live. So I just want to show you, we had a lot of whiteboard stuff here. Like what are we doing to go live for the new EMR? How many FTEs do we need? Prioritize the task completions during go live. This is mostly my time calculating that, or our team's time. And then we put together the plan. Tasks that can be completed well before go live, formulate the FTE labor plan, create documentation for individual tasks, and educate biomed staff. So I'll show you what we did there, and organize task supplies. So then you have your go live plan. So what needs to happen early, what needs to happen when time is limited, determine communication with project command center. We were flipping hospitals one at a time from Cerner to Epic. So we had a command center, and then we would be part of that command center, our team. But even if you're coming from no EMR or a small EMR and going to a larger implementation, everything here applies because you're going to have a command center. There's going to be a window of cutover. There's going to be a window of downtime. So you just need to plan accordingly. And then your post go live is what can be done afterwards. Like take the old hardware out, go around, check with your staff, see what's going on. create, a biomed integration lead support for 24/7 call for a period, and then what do you do 2 weeks, 3 weeks out? What do you do a year out for your support? Yes.
Do you know what software they use to communicate Epic to Cerner, vice versa during that transition period?
So the question is, what software do we use to communicate between Epic and Cerner during the transition? None. We just shut it down. So we basically kept Cerner running and stopped using it and brought up Epic and then transferred into Epic. And then basically left Cerner kind of idle. And they did, I believe, transfer records, but I think we still have obviously you have to keep records for a number of years. So there is a repository of Cerner data, but we didn't do anything to cross feed or anything like that. It was basically a 2-hour window of we're gonna, switch everything over, and then you log into Epic and you start Epic up on your workstations and you start going with Epic. So we go from, this brainstorm here with, a whiteboard to actual documents and timing. And this is what we provided to the technicians, the biomed technicians. And these are steps, it's like, we just made it as clear as possible. Here's your steps, here's what you do, here's what you need. And then we even provided, there's barcodes down here. When you program your WellSpan for the new Epic system, here's a test patient, scan this to program your barcode scanner, and then whoop, here's your patient. Scan it, make sure it works. Biomed tasks. So what we did is we put together, clipboards. If there was USB drive to, change a software level, instructions, stickers, anything that was needed for that transition period. And we're talking, when I say transition period, it's like the night of go live. You have some staff in-house. We had, people from my team there, and we're all working together to transition devices over. So they got a clipboard. Here it shows the USB dongle for software and config files, and then the instructions. So we created these kits. For devices, after we were done device testing and everything was labeled, we put a sticker on the vent that says this has been tested for EMR integration. We pulled, this is Capsule's DIM. So if you're not familiar with Capsule, it's pretty standard. This is their little serial converter here. So this goes on the back of your capsule or your vent, your anesthesia machine. So here you can see, we had our Edwards Vigileos, we had Vig2s, over here is Draeger V500s, we had some balloon pumps, and then these are the green patch cables that go with it. The patch cables already have the cable tag on it, everything's ready to go. So if you were assigned to go do the Edwards Vig2s, it's like you grab this little slip of cardboard with your DIMMs and your cables, and out the door you go. That's your job. Come back when you're done, grab another one. And there was a whole sheet of what to do. And I'll show you some support documents that we do. Now this is heavy in biomed because this is the night of go live. So we're it's a lot of people on the ground, boots on the ground there. So then we had our project command center, and we had a little biomed command center because there was so much going on. It just wasn't my EMR stuff. I mean, there was things, room numbers needed to be reprogrammed for Epic because Cerner used a different structure room number. So, people are walking around changing room numbers on devices. There was a lot going on. So we had a little biomed command center along with the larger project command center. I equated it to, the flight control tower basically. So, but the integration lead functions as traffic control. So any issues, bring it to me with integration. If we had to, kind of space out the workforce again with biomed because this guy got done early and this lady over here needs help and we got to do this. So we were air traffic control, trying to make sure that everything was getting done and getting done timely. And then we had a handoff to the next shift. So all of this happened at 2 a.m. So our window was 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. So obviously, we started like 11. So we were running 11 to 7, then 7 o'clock, the next shift comes in. So we wanted to have a good handoff. Again, heavy on biomed because they were feet on the ground, even though we were still helping with that. And then ongoing support. So this is where I really want to talk about a lot of stuff that we do. So basically, biomed goes, hey, we got it all connected. We'll call you when it breaks. It's like, yes, you will, but let me help you. So we created documents to help biomed. So every ventilator, every balloon pump model, every dialysis machine, we create a document for connectivity. photo of what it is, instructions, how to set it, screens, you know, everything that you need minus service passwords. We're not allowed to put service passwords in our documents. They keep them in an online vault. You just log in to the vault and you put in, like you say, Draeger, and it gives you all the Draeger anesthesia machines and vents, and you go to get the password. But all of the steps, hidden keys like menus, whatever, push and hold here. So we do a whole document series for every device that we have. We record software in the Biomed database, and we ask Biomed to do that too as they update devices, which doesn't always happen. Standardize a way for customers to request additional device connectivity. I'll show you that. And then I hold a monthly meeting to talk about connectivity projects. What's open, what's existing, what are we wrapping up, what's going well, what doesn't go well. And then we have software testing. So here's an example just this week. Baxter was in, they have new software for the Prismax. It's 3.1 to 3.2. We asked them to install 3.2 on one machine. We test it, so we simulate it with a tubing set, make sure we get all of our data that we map, so we know our parameters that we map, make sure that that feeds in there. Then we tell them everything's good, and they can deploy that software on the rest of the machines. We've had vendors walk in the door, put in software, doesn't work. And it's like, yep, that's a no-no. We don't want vendors just walking in, obviously, but I was an OEM for a little bit, and I know what it's like. You know, you're trying to get Biomed's time to coordinate, and they're like, hey, I don't know, we're busy. It's like, okay, well, this is what I got to do. And sometimes they're like, hey, go do it. But we try to stop vendors from just coming in and throwing software in devices, because that has wreaked havoc before. Yes, yes, and we're hoping to get, you know, some cybersecurity software that gives us an even better dashboard to show what's connected, what's online, what's communicating. That we don't quite have yet. With all this high tech, you know, technology and all the infinite details that we do for connectivity, we just don't have that yet. So that's the next step. Yes. Yep. So Biomed support, create documents to help Biomed technicians. So here's our CareFusion pump document. So it's just, everything looks the same at the top. You notice it's green, medical device integration to EMR. What is it? CareFusion. This steps them through everything, even tells them how to create a ticket with our IT team to get a wireless account. I built this, I hate to say this, I built this so a fifth grader could do it. And I actually gave it to somebody who's not technical and said, can you proofread this and tell me if anything confuses you? And they said, no, it looks great. They had like 1 or 2 questions. I'm not going to show you the whole document, but basically, you know, it's getting it connected, configuring it for wireless, and then printing some barcode stickers, because on the CareFusion, Alaris, BD, whatever you want to call it, they don't do barcoding on the screen, so we have to print the barcode stickers and put them on the channels for the infusion management and auto programming. What else do we do? We create those documents to help. We support Biomed via service calls and escalation to my team. And then we record the information in our Biomed database, unique device settings, software levels. Here's just a screen to show you. You know, we have a whole thing. Here's IP, subnet, gateway. You know, this is Space Lab, so it has the port number, the network number, software level, all that type of stuff is on here. It's no different than anybody else in what they do. Just, it's important to have it. And again, we rely heavily on Biomed, because after we test it, we're kind of out of the picture. If Space Labs comes in and says, hey, you know what, for the new server upgrade, we got to update the software and change these settings, it's like, yeah, we'll test one. And then when Biomed goes around and makes their changes, like, hey, Biomed, please make sure you update the database. I don't know how many times I've gotten a phone call. This won't connect. Okay, cool, let's look at it in the database. There's no data in there. Okay, well, you don't have a username or password. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like, well, you didn't put it in the database. Well, it wasn't me, it was, you know, Joe. Well, Joe's an idiot. Joe didn't put it in the database. So then we have to go to accounts provisioning, we have to find it, or, you know, the worst is we don't know the MAC address. It's like, well, why isn't, I can't find it on the network. I don't have a MAC address. Like, I don't know, we have 4,000 pumps. Go find it. I can't help you. So we really stress to Biomed to put the information in the database. So Yes. So the question is, if you throw another network card in, does it change the MAC address? Should they document it? Yes, yes, and yes. Yep. So here we have some requests for connectivity and how do we do that? So this is our ticketing system. We use Remedy Force, which is part of Salesforce, I think. I don't know. But we create these templates. This is literally click and request. Wireless account that you need, medical device integration. So you just click it, and basically we try to just make it drop downs with very little free text field. And what that does is that creates a ticket in the IT system for my team. It also creates a ticket for interfaces. If we're adding a new vent or a new patient monitor, it kind of creates a ticket for them because they need to do their work. And then it might even spin off a ticket to the applications team. So if we're adding a patient monitor, the apps team needs to know they need to add it on the server. So it's a new device. All that's automated. That's what a biomed database cannot do. I can't create a work order that spins off 3 tickets for 3 different people. I've yet to see a biomed database that can do that. Does anybody have a biomed database here that can do that, or a CMMS? No. I don't know. We're on our 3rd one now, so it doesn't even matter. But everybody craps on the IT, like, oh, the help desk is such a pain. It's like, right, but they follow a flow chart that goes to a thing, and then they create a ticket, and that ticket might actually bounce to 2 different teams. I've yet to see Biomed database do that. Now, we are switching to a new one, so hopefully that could happen, because that way you don't have a single point of failure. Because if you get a ticket for, let's just say a patient monitor in the ICU, it's like, well, is it the monitor or is it something else? Like, well, let's send one to the biomed who's assigned to that ICU, and let's send one maybe over to my team. So we can quickly look on the server and say, it's online, so that's not me. Yep. Yes, sir. That's fantastic. Sure. Yep. So we tried that with one of our databases. It didn't work. So what the gentleman was saying, just so everybody could hear it, is they have an API written. So like when changes come in on one system, it merges that data into the CMMS, which is great. Now, what CMMS are you using? Okay. All right. Okay. So we have a monthly meeting. We have biomed sometimes, but really it's our networking team, our nursing informatics, our hospital leadership. We have usually the director of IT nursing sits on there, nursing informatics, our integration team. Sometimes server teams come and go. It just depends on the projects. We review existing connectivity projects, new requests for connectivity, and then challenges with vendors or anything that's kind of stalled out. So here's just a picture of it. Basically, I'll just read the columns. They're a little hard to see here. It's topic, like what are we talking about, the discussion, who owns it, any of the ticket numbers that we have from our ticketing system, and then here's just kind of a rolling log. So I'll just read through a couple of them. We're doing an ASCOM integration, so this whole row is for ASCOM. We're replacing a GE CareScape gateway. So we have an older gateway. We're just upgrading it to a newer gateway. So this is the running log of that work. Then we were replacing Neuron 2 devices with Neuron 3s, so we had a rolling log of what we were doing there. And then here was at the bottom, we were doing, we have the Philips MRI monitors. I forget what the old company was, but yes, the Philips IP5, they wanted to get some more parameters out of that, so that was a small project, so we had that documented on here. And then we do software testing. So we test new software levels to make sure everything's good. Mapping of any parameters, you know, these newer vents, they wanted to add some parameters. So what do we have to do? We have to get the vent, we have to simulate it, we have to make sure that we can pull that data from it. And we work with, again, respiratory therapy in that situation. And we also work with on our application side, the the in-house application person who helps to run the mapping for anything coming through Epic and Capsule. And then we do network testing, due to any config changes or VLAN segmentation.